So hi, welcome to Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Tyler Tate of Holofront.
there are some questions to say about the upcoming album, The Fear of Letting Go. So congrats on that. By the way, how do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
Oh, it's been pretty good. I think people are kind of shocked we're putting on an album so quickly after the last album, but just something we felt like we needed to do, losing Dakota.
Yeah, fair enough. The album fucking rocks. It's so good.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude, that opener, holy shit. It was just hit after hit after hit. You guys fucking
Thank
killed
you. Thanks so much.
Hell yeah.
it. Right. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover arts?
Um, so the album title itself is kind of, it relates to more of Dakota's song, the one that we released called Letting Go. So that originally that song was called The Fear of Letting Go. But we came up with the idea of splitting the title into two songs. So like the first song's called The Fear of, and then the final song's Letting Go. The Fear of Letting Go is just kind of like, it's my the way that I interpret it is that it's you're afraid of letting go of something that you've put so much of your heart and soul into, that you've worked so hard to build, but it's a detriment to your mental health as well. It's like, part of me is like, there's been times where I'm like, I'm kind of over this, like, I like being in the music industry is hard. Like being an artist is hard. You're always being scrutinized by people you don't know, and for the most part we have good reception, so I'm not complaining too much. But it's just and my fear is, who am I without music? So like, who am I without Holofront? Because I've my whole entire life is pretty much wrapped up in Holofront. Like I'm the guy at the party that where you haven't seen me in 5 years. You're like, oh, what's going on with you? And all I talk about is my kids in Holofront. That's all I got.
Yeah.
So it's whereas from Dakota's perspective, he was, he needed to let go, but he was, afraid of, let me see, let me try to explain this right without sounding like an idiot. He had to let go.
Mm-hmm.
So him letting go was kind of necessary, even if a part of him didn't want to. A bigger part of him needed to. When I'm on the opposite, whereas like I can't let go. Like I'm afraid of letting go because I'm not, I'm not equipped for normal life. Like I'm a musician and I like to make music, and like anything else, I'm just kind of, I'm not interested. Like it's my kids and music, and that's literally all I have. So the fear of letting go is, for me, is personally, is just being afraid of letting go of something that you work so hard for.
And does the album kind of explore those two sides of that theme, or is that just like those two tracks?
I would say it explores more my side throughout the whole album, because I'm the one writing it.
Yeah.
Dakota was only really involved in the two songs that he performs on, and Letting Go didn't even start as, like, Letting Go started as a song about his ex-girlfriend. Like he was still firmly in the band when we wrote that song. So there was no like, oh, I'm there's the fear of him leaving kind of a thing. It just wasn't there when we wrote that song. But when he left, I kind of interpreted the lyrics a little bit differently, like more like he was speaking to, like, about Holofront having to let go of that, and I kind of wrote my parts directing towards him. And a lot of the songs on the album definitely play into that, but it kind of encapsulates the period between our March 2022 accident on tour until present day, when we've had a lot of setbacks and a lot of problems since that accident. So it kind of all stems around that. So the album pretty much follows that timeline, but there's a few songs on the album that don't really have to do with that. Like a very personal song, Over the Cradle, that's like about my mom and my relationship when I was a teenager. So that one doesn't really have to do. And then like I have a song about I usually will write at least one song about this girl on the last couple albums, but yeah, I wrote a song about an ex that I'm still in love with and all that kind of shit. As far I missed the question earlier about the album art. I want to touch on that really quick. So the album art is it's up for interpretation, like personal interpretation. We don't ever really. It's kind of like our last album, like the Medusa Head. Like I had an entire explanation for that, but people can come up with whatever they want. It's just for me, it's like the crown of thorns. It's not religious. There's no religious meaning for the crown of thorns. It's more of like it's kind of like a gauntlet. It's kind of like a trial. Like you're reaching through, and trying to get to the other side, but you're sustaining injuries, from the
Yeah.
from the thorns, and the thorns kind of represents life and a journey, trying to make it through the hard times to get to that thing that you're reaching for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
So the writing process began in March of this year. Dakota quit in January, at the end of January, pretty much right at the end. And it took me about a month of sulking and deciding what I'm gonna do, whether I was gonna stay or whether I was just gonna put this thing to bed. And a lot of talks with Lee, not who is now the only other member in the band, just me and him. We talked a lot, and we're like, let's just write a record with you singing. So we were like, all right, that's gonna be crazy because I've sang in some songs like Thick as Blood, Afflicted, a reimagined stuff, but I've never like taken like the full like
Mhm.
mantle of being the singer slash sorry, screamer.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of tough, and it was kind of like we had to switch on a dime really quickly because we had an entire idea of what the album would sound like with Dakota, and it's nothing like the songs that we wrote post his leaving. So we kind of had to switch up our ideas for how we wanted the sound to be, the more of the genre, a little bit switching more towards like a rock instead of more of like what we were talking about, more being more towards like a pop, because Dakota's just got that like poppy, very like soulful, pretty voice, whereas I have like a more of like a grittier 90s kind of thing going on because that's just the bands I
Yeah.
grew up on. So my voice is just a little bit more in that range. So yeah, I mean the writing process was pretty easy, but we gave ourselves a really strict timeline because we wanted to release the album this year.
Mhm.
Because we felt like with Dakota leaving, like we wanted to make a statement pretty quickly, like this is what we're gonna sound like. So we kind of, I wouldn't say rushed it, but we put our pedal to the metal kind of a thing. It took about 3 months, I think, between starting writing and finishing, like mixing, mastering, and all that kind of stuff. Um, yeah, it was pretty easy because I think Lee and I have always worked really well together, like just personally and professionally. So it was pretty easy just to kind of pick that back up because we've done it before on a few different albums. So it was super easy but stressful, but it's just like a whirlwind of different emotions for this album because losing someone like Dakota and then Brandon leaving towards the end of the album before we finished the album was just like hit after hit after hit, and we lost booking agents and managers in this time because they weren't really excited about working with us after Dakota left. So it was just a lot of setbacks and a lot of trials and stuff going on while we're making an album. So I think that helped fuel the lyrics in the album. The lyricism definitely reflects around a lot of my frustrations with the music industry and frustrations with myself personally and frustrations with just life in general. But there's also songs where I kind of like, I can't give this up. This is something I've worked for my entire life. Like I'm not giving this up. But me personally, I'm not like, maybe I'm bipolar or something. I don't know. But like, I'm just like my emotions are on the scale is wide. Like I'm here, I'm super high, then super low, super high, super low. So there's the touches of that within the lyrics of the album.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that the pivot into what became an inevitable two-piece during the writing and the recording process was an easy switch for you guys, because like what a fucking blow, and you're just like we were doing all right. I mean, stressful of course, but you guys work so well together that it was an easy switch.
Yeah, we've done. So Lee's kind of always been around. Not a lot of people know that. He basically is. He is our first producer. He started producing like our EP back in 2017, and we've always recorded with him until we got signed with UNFD, and then we worked with Carson and Grant at Atrium. They did like Polaris and August Burns Red and those kinds of bands, and I don't want to say we were pushed, but we were encouraged to go work with a different producer, and we were all pretty much yes, let's do that. And but Lee at the time he wasn't in the band, so he was kind of like, oh, I feel left out now. He's got the FOMO or whatever they call it, the fear of missing out or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's like, I want to be in the band now. So and then he joined, and we just write better at home. Like I feel like we have the time to work on, like, being in a studio when you're on somebody else's time. Like, you don't have the schedule's on their schedule, so you're working when they want to work, and when you're doing it yourself, you can basically work whenever you want. It's not a 9 to 5, it's a 2 to 2 a.m. or it's just like 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. or whatever, who knows. And I just think we had a lot more time on this record, even though it feels like it was a lot shorter as far as the writing and the recording. We just had more time to experiment and mess with the things that we later on down the line were like, oh, that can be improved. So I think it was just overall it was going backwards a little bit, but in a good way. Like, it was a good experience. And Lee and I, just like I said earlier, we just work so well together, even though sometimes we'll get frustrated with each other and bicker like an old married couple kind of a thing. But at the end of the day, we're just like, we're professional, and we're like, yo, I'm sorry, I got a little heated about that. Because in your mind as a musician, when you have your idea set, you're like, I love this idea. And then maybe Lee has an idea that he loves and I don't love, and he doesn't love my idea. And it's just like, there's a compromise and an ebb and flow when you're working with another person. But I think that's the benefit of just him and I. It's just us. There's not a third or fourth or fifth person that also has different ideas. All the cooks in the kitchen, with the saying, the too many cooks in the kitchen kind of a thing. And it was just two cooks, and Lee's kind of like the head chef, and I'm like the sous chef or whatever. I'm like, so yeah, we worked really well together, and it was a good experience, and I'm happy with the results. Definitely happy with the results.
So then, going forward, since you guys work so well together, is it gonna stay a two-piece? Have you thought that far?
Oh yeah, I mean, never say never.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say never.
Fair enough.
About this. You never know. We might meet somebody who's super incredibly talented that we want to incorporate into the band, but all the people we know, which we know a lot of people in the industry and a lot of musicians, it's just, we don't want to add somebody else into the band who might leave. It's just like, I know I'm not going anywhere. Lee knows he's not going anywhere. Even if and this is just hypothetical, but even if we never toured again, or even if we never play a live show again ever in our entire careers, we will always make music, Lee and I, because he can do it right in his house and I live close. So it's like, there's no excuse to why we can't release music, even an album a year if we really wanted to.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool that we had that connection prior, because we work so well together. But that's another reason why we've decided not to kind of bring anybody else in, because it seems like everyone we've brought in at some point leaves, and it's just it's maybe it's a little bit of PTSD, maybe it's just a little bit of I just don't want to deal with losing somebody again. So I think it's just easier it being Lee and I.
That's fair enough.
For sure. And while kind of gearing up to release this record and recording and writing, did you feel like you had something to prove?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and from the outside looking in, people will probably be like, oh, Holofront's still like up and coming and all that, but we kind of hit a brick wall, like with losing all the members and the accident and the lawsuit that we had, and because of the accident, losing managers, losing booking agents. We still have our label, but no one's knocking on our door really, which sucks. But at the same time, I'm happy just doing what we're doing at the moment. but there's no like people being like, Holofront, get on this tour, like play, we haven't had an offer in probably a year. Maybe I'm being too honest. The other one listens to me like, Holofront sucks now. No, I don't know. We hit a wall because of all the stuff we're going in. And I think that we kind of seemed like more trouble than we're worth just because of all the stuff that's happening. So yeah, I had a lot to prove as far as, we can do this without Dakota. Not that we want to. If I had my choice, Dakota would still be in the band, but he left, and we can't just kill what we've created because of one person leaving. So yeah, I had a lot to prove, and I really hope it proves it because I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a little petty, but I kind of want the old managers and booking agents to listen to the album and be like, we were kind of wrong,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's just human nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So what song off this album took the longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
I don't know because they were all kind of written. I was writing all my songs all at the same time. Like a lot of lyrics, like there were days where I'd work on 4 different songs, kind of a thing.
Damn.
Yeah. There was a moment where I even like I need some help because I'm stuck on something, so I chat GPT'd. I was like, help me with this. So I like fed it the lyrics that I had, and it helped me kind of finish like the paragraph or the stanza.
No shame in that.
That's kind of amazing. I don't think anyone's actually told us that they've used ChatGTP to kind of help get past that writer's block if they're having any issues with lyrics.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm sure there's a lot of people like, I didn't use Chat GPT. I write all my, I was stuck and I was writing 4 songs at once. So I was like, I just need help. So I fed it a bunch of songs that I've written already, a bunch of Holofront songs, and kind of was like, hey, analyze these songs. And it would analyze the songs, and it would talk about my lyrical style. And I'm like, okay, well, here's this part that I've written. Help me kind of figure it out. And like the AI kind of helped me out a little bit. But yeah, I'm honest. I'll tell people I don't give a shit. Yeah. I can guarantee that no one will know which part it is. I'm not going to say, but no one's going to know what part it is. But it could have been written by me. It's very on the nose for how my style was. It was just like, man, I'm stuck. What can I do? And I was like, technology.
Love it.
So yeah. The longest song was probably, if I would say from start to finish, like instrumental, all that, it's probably one of the later songs just because I probably put it off longer because I was stuck. So Stay With Me, that was the second to last song we finished. And then Good Things Never Last. Those 2 songs, I really wanted to make sure that they were as perfect as I possibly could make them. Neither of which of those songs I use the chat GPT with, but yeah. And then what was the second half of the question?
Your favorite song.
My favorite song. Man, that's like asking which one of your kids is your favorite.
Yeah.
I think if I had to choose, I'll just choose 2, which is actually funny because I literally just said them both because they're so different in styles. Stay With Me, I'm really proud of that song. Not lyrically, but because the lyrics can be a little cheesy, like love, unrequited love song. Ooh, original. But I just like the way that we did my vocals in that song. I'm very proud of the singing in that song. When I listen to that song, I'm like, man, fuck, a year ago I would have never imagined that I would be doing that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Good Things Never Last. I think that song's just fun. It's not super it's heavy, but it's not, but it's melodic and heavy, and there's singing, but there's breakdowns, and I don't know, that song is just hype, I think. And we played around a lot with adding like electronic elements as far as like even like a bass kick, kind of like a sub. And that song we kind of just went balls to the wall with it. So it's super fun. I think people will enjoy it. It's a song you could dance to, in my opinion. Just very like dancey kind of electronic metalcore.
Hell yeah, love it
for sure.
So how'd the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, close be a closer? Did you shelf around and see what fits? What was that process like?
So I always wait until all the songs are finished, and then what I'll do is I'll kind of throw them into iTunes and kind of move them around and to see which songs flow the best into them. But I always knew that the fear of the first song and letting go, I always knew that those would be the opening and closing songs. But kind of in between, I placed them for like transitional, reasons, like that sounds good or it works here. And I don't ever want to put like two heavy songs right next to each other or two really light songs next to each other. So I kind of took that into account when I was coming up with like the order of the songs.
All right, makes sense. The ebb and the flow.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
For sure. So would you be able to tell us where headspace is at while you were creating this record?
Ooh, my headspace was all over the place.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Definitely. I was suffering from depression pretty bad when we first started, but I think somewhere, because I'm chronically depressed. Like I'm in and out of depression, and I don't regulate with meds or anything like that. So it's just kind of like deal with it, kind of a thing. So yeah, I was definitely at the beginning, I was like, how are we gonna do this? Like Dakota's like, my biggest fear was that people were just gonna hate what I was, and that's an insecurity, but I was afraid that people were gonna be like, we want Dakota back, fuck this guy singing sucks, like that kind of a thing. So that was a big fear of mine going into it. And Lee definitely had to talk me off the ledge a few times because he's like, dude, it sounds really good. And we're having a good time while doing it. And it's like, but I'm always worried about what other people think, which is not healthy, but I'm a human being.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a part of it. And then there was like the part where it's like, holy shit, like I think something's clicked, and it's like, oh, we're super excited now. Oh my God. And then hit another bump, like halfway through the record, managers and booking agents leave. So it's like, oh, well, damn, that kind of sucks. It's like we're putting all this effort and work into this album. And to be honest, I don't even think they ever heard it before they dropped us.
God damn.
I'm not trying to talk shit on them at all. It's business.
Unfortunately.
And right now we're kind of like I said, a little bit more trouble than we're worth, but we're getting out of it. Our lawsuit's settled. Like we're really starting to get back up on our feet, and I'm happy that we are at least have the opportunity to continue to make music, whether we're represented or not. Like that's not the end all be all. You need a manager and a booking agent to have release music, So yeah, I think that was kind of like a kick between the legs when that happened, but it didn't deter us from finishing strong. Like we did a tour like in the middle of writing the album or recording it, and then we came back and we finished strong. We got everything mixed, mastered. We shot 4 music videos in 1 week. We put a lot of work and effort in. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished, even with all the setbacks and all the heartache and all the problems that we've faced during this time.
That's fucking awesome. I'm glad we're here talking about an album right now with the whirlwind of the past like year and a half you guys have had, basically since the release of the last record.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like when that record came out, everyone in the band was kind of in a weird place because of the accident. Like we weren't super excited for the album because we were just a little fucked up from the accident. Like, and Devin, our old drummer, we parted ways with him right before the album came out. So that was like another thing that was just like, man, just feels like this album's cursed. So I think for me, this album I'm more excited for this one. I'm just in a better headspace and a better, I know exactly what I want to do. And Lee feels the same way. And yeah, I think this album is better than Price of Dreaming. It's just a little bit more varied as far as the sound. The songs are not, I wouldn't say that every song on that album was the same, but it would kind of, our goal on that album was to kind of make a cohesive record. So a lot of the songs ended up kind of sounding the same because it was supposed to be cohesive. On this one, we're just like, all right, there's 10 different songs, like let's write 10 different songs and make sure none of them sound exactly the same, which is, I think we pulled off pretty well.
Oh yeah.
100%.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should do in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is a workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
All of them. I don't know. I'm pretty much all the above. I'll throw it on while I'm driving. You know, it's a good cruising album. It's a good lay in your room and with the dark album. I've done that. Done it in the gym. Because there's some good heavy songs, and even the songs that aren't like super heavy, they still have some groove and something that they still have a tempo, so you can lift to it, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that whatever your preferred method of listening to music, whatever you like to listen to music, the way that you like to listen to music will be the way that you should listen to it. I think part of me is like, you listen to album front to back, but a part of me wants to make a playlist on Spotify where the album is backwards, because I've listened to it both ways and I think they work both ways. So I think that at some point I might do that just for fun. It's a different listening experience, like listen to the album back to front instead of front to back, because it works. I was surprised at how well it worked, because I was just listening to it, and for some reason it was set to listening to the front to the back, and I was just like, oh, this works. I was like, this could have been the exact way that the album went, but I was like, I like the way that we set it up.
Oh yeah.
For sure. I love that you say that, because I've only seen one other artist actually do back to front. I believe it was Kendrick Lamar with his album Damn. And you're able to listen to it from the last song all the way back to the first song, and it tells a completely different story. So I love that you're able to actually kind of connect with that and actually relate to that and say, yeah, you can listen to it back to front and it still makes sense and it still sounds really fucking good.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
I don't ever go around being like, this is exactly how you should listen to it. You know, you could put it on shuffle if you really want to, but like with The Price of Dreaming, I was very meticulous on, I want this. I was more focused on it feeling like an album that I would pick up, from Sam Goody or something back in the day, FYE or something. Like, I would go in and buy an album, and if I didn't know the band and I didn't know all the songs, I would listen to the album from the front to the back. I would just listen to the whole thing.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where my focus was on the last record. But for this record, it's like, it's not as important. It's more of just like, are the songs good, and does it flow well? It doesn't have to, because you can interchange any of the songs really if you really wanted to. But I thought it was cool just to be like, yeah, maybe we'll make like a playlist. You can listen to it from the front to the or back to the front.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. So this one should be super, super quick. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Oh God. So you say it was simple? That was easy? 3 words?
3 words.
Come on, you called us out
Um,
on the favorite color question before the interview started. We asked you this one last time. You should have been ready.
Come
I
on.
Bro, I can't remember what I did last week. So let's see. 3 words. They're probably going to be almost exactly the same. Now, I would say, raw, authentic, emotional. Those could be 3.
Nice.
I could describe it in a myriad of ways. But yeah, I would say that would be, because it's real life. Like, those songs, none of the songs that I wrote are fictional. You
Mhm.
know, like, everything that I wrote about was what was happening to me at the time, or that happened to me between the accident and the album coming out. Whereas I felt like a little bit more on The Price of Dreaming, because we were kind of in more of a time crunch on the writing with that, because we were on like the schedule of the other producers. We were writing lyrics like a lot. And I felt like there were some songs on there where I was able to figure out how they connected to me. Like a song called, let's say, Better Off is like a middle tier song on the last record, and it's about losing trust in somebody that you love, whether it's a relationship or a friendship or family, or just anybody who you've loved dearly and deeply, but they've betrayed you so many times that you just don't trust them anymore. I can relate to that, but I didn't come up with that idea. So it was something I kind of had to integrate into and figure out how I can relate to it. Thick as Blood is another good example. That has to do with our bass player's life. That has nothing to do with me. I kind of had to step in and figure out how I can relate enough to write authentic lyrics for it. Whereas this album, every lyric is my story and my lyric, and except for Will I Run, I would say Will I Run is the only song that I didn't write majority of the lyrics on. Lee did. Lee actually he woke up one day and he's like, I think it was like 5 a.m, and he's like, I wrote lyrics for the song, and I read them. I was like, oh shit, this is really good, So I'm not the kind of person that's like, you can't write lyrics in my band. I'm the lyrics guy, I was like, hey, that's really cool, bro. Thanks for taking the song for me, so I didn't have to work on it. So that song is about him, but I relate to it because it's about our kids and about running away from problems. So I didn't have to really dig too deep to relate to that song when I was performing it. So that really helped. But yeah, every other song on the album, if I'm singing or screaming on it, it's those lyrics are 100% factual and authentic and just what I'm living through in this noggin up here at the moment.
Hell yeah. So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
Oh man, you're gonna feel all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely different emotions. I mean, sadness and loss has kind of always been an overarching theme in our music. So there's definitely a lot of that because we experienced a lot of that within this time frame. But yeah, I mean, I think when I want people to listen to music, I just want them to feel something. I don't care what they feel. Anger, sadness, happiness, because they feel like they can connect to it. Feel like they're not alone. Yeah, I encourage people to just feel something, whether, because I think in today's world, it's easy to be like, well, everyone's so dramatic and everyone's so emotional, but there's still a lot of people that are afraid to express their emotions, and sometimes doing it behind closed doors with music is kind of like a great escape, like you're not being judged. You're just allowing your emotions to just flow out of you due to a certain piece of media that you're consuming at the time, whether it's music or TV or movies, or you're just feeling something that you didn't expect to feel. And I think that's what I want people to take away from this album, is that just feel it,
Hell yeah, I love that.
For sure. So what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this record?
Favorite memory that I made?
Yeah.
To be honest, my memory's shit. We were just working so hard. I think my favorite part of this album is kind of when we clicked, as far as when we decided to like do a song like Will I Run or Stay With Me, where it's very singing based. Those songs were a lot of fun to do because it was something we've never done before with me and Lee. So that was definitely a highlight. Just working on music in general, the lifestyle of working on music to me is like, we wake up at a certain time, we get lunch, we sit down and I work on lyrics, and Lee works on instrumentals, and then we kind of come together, and it's just to me, I enjoy making music the way that we make music. And yeah, I think that's out of everything that I think it's not just a one event kind of a thing, it's not like, oh, this one time was my favorite time. I just really enjoyed the overall process, even though sometimes there were hiccups and, problems. That's just normal life. But yeah, I mean, overall, just the entire experience was definitely my favorite record that we've written, as far as just, it was super easy, like easy going, even though there's times where it was tough, but mostly easy going, just between us and Lee's studio's in his house, and it's just a super comfortable scenario.
Hell yeah.
Sure. Very happy to hear that.
So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Oh man, depends on the gas station, I guess. If I'm at a Buc-ee's, I'm getting a brisket sandwich at 2 a.m. and a Dr. Pepper slushie.
Nice.
I don't know. It just depends. there'll be times I'll go into a gas station and be like, nothing looks good. So it'll be like a fruit cup and a drink. And then there'll be other times you'll go in and they like make food and you're like, all right, give me a quesadilla at 3 a.m., kind of a thing. Yeah, I mean, if I would say like the most thing I've ever bought when I go to a gas station is probably Welch's fruit snacks. I ate a lot of those on tour.
Those are so good.
At one point, I bought an 8-pound bag of them.
Nice.
That was huge. It was a huge bag, and it doubled as part of my pillow. Because I had nowhere to put it, so I was like, "Where do I put this?" So I like shoved it under my pillow. Yeah, and it definitely melted some gummies with the heat of the. But hey, it's all going in the same place as it is. But yeah, I'd say if I had to choose one single snack that I probably bought the most of, it's Welch's fruit snacks, which is awful, but it's a funny story actually. And I don't know if this is off topic, but it's kind of about that. There was one time I got my headphones and my AirPods, noise canceling AirPods, and I'm eating these Welch's gummies, but it's kind of winter time, so they're a little like chewy, like more than normal. And I'm just like smacking on them because I can't hear myself. And then all of a sudden I got 2 flashlights, like phone flashlights that came over like my bed. And they're like, "What you eating?" And I'm like, look at them, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little stoned, a little stoned out and little munchies, and they're like, "What you eat?" And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "We can hear you smacking your lips, dude." And I'm just like, "They're really hard to chew." It's like, so yeah, a little funny story to throw in there to relate to my gas station snack of choice.
Oh my God, that is beautiful.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
shit. So on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You guys come up with now we're in the tough questions. Everything else was easy.
Told you
Now we're
it's harder than last time.
The kind of yeah, you guys have stepped it up. If we were a dish, we would be something like either something stuffed, like so when you like on the outside it looks like one thing, when you cut it open it's a completely different thing. Maybe a charcuterie board, like we just have like a bunch of different kinds of stuff you can sample. Yeah, those would be my answers. Maybe like a beef Wellington or something, I don't know, just whatever you cut into and it's like there's something inside that's not on the outside. I don't know.
All right, sounds
Hell
good.
yeah.
And for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music. So if you could be one animal for the rest of your life, what animal would you be and why?
Oh, I would be a dog or a cat.
Okay.
Just living my best life. Like, give me some scratches,
Getting pampered.
something to play with, feed me, don't make me pay bills.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I don't know, probably maybe a cat I would pick, maybe just because cats are nimble, they can jump up on stuff, and they're just kind of. Dogs are a little bit more, hey, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? Cats are like, I don't give a shit if you love me. If you do, cool. Just make sure you feed me and clean my litter box.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So if you could have lunch with any celebrity or artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Any artists? Ooh, fuck. Dead or alive? That's the possibilities are endless there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves. I just
Yes.
think that I want to be friends with him. I just think that would be a delightful lunch. He's not like he seems like more my kind of a person where he's like, "Hey man, how are you?" Kind of like a nice chill person. He's not like that. And he's not like, "I'm Keanu Reeves, bow down and kiss my shoes," kind of a thing. He's just like a normal dude. We could sit around and have some pizza or some tacos or something and just kind of just kick the shit. And I'll probably fangirl for a second, but I think I could adjust quickly and be like, "Yeah, Keanu, you're pretty cool. Like you've been in some of my favorite movies, but that's cool."
Hell yeah.
Whereas I think some
Exactly.
other celebrities, there might be a celebrity where I'd meet like, then I'd be like, "Holy shit, I can't." Like, I would say if it was a musician, like maybe like Corey Taylor from Slipknot, I'd be like, if I met him in person, I wouldn't be able to walk up and be like, without going like, "You're my hero."
There is no being chill.
Yeah. Yeah, You're my biggest inspiration. I'm sure you've never heard that before from anybody in the world.
And for this last question, boom, you're on a desert island. You can bring one movie, one album, and one person. Who and what are you bringing?
Well, damn, I got 3 kids, so I can't choose one of them because that's just too, can't play favoritism. So sorry, kids, you're out. I'd bring Lee, and we would just make music with coconuts and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Just that would be just me and Lee bickering and yelling at each other on an island, like.
Perfect.
And then after a while, I'll be like, man, I just wish you were a volleyball that didn't speak, like from the Castaway movie. You know? I was like, I just wish you wouldn't talk anymore. But then music, you know, I got flamed on another podcast where they were like, if you had to choose 3 albums, I chose Paramore Riot because I fucking love that album.
That album's
It's a great
great.
album.
I'm gonna choose that again here just because fuck that other podcast. And
Yeah.
Exactly.
they're like, that's not metal. I'm like, fucking Haley Williams is metal as fuck.
Yeah,
No-
this is a safe
Exactly.
space. We love Paramore here.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
Paramore's great.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's enough. I just don't subscribe to favorites, so I'm just choosing that one for the sole fact that I want to just. Hopefully, they'll probably never watch this, but if they do, I'll create drama and
Yeah. Create some
controversy.
beef. Yeah.
Fuck that! I can't remember what the podcast was called, to be honest. But anyways, then if I had to choose a movie, damn, this is probably if I'm just gonna throw it out there. There's so many that I love. Like I said, I don't subscribe to favorites, so like there's no favorite movie of mine. It's just like a million favorites. But what could I watch every time I wanted to watch a movie? What could I watch? Would either be like Jurassic Park or like The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. I just for some, and even those movies are at this point are kind of like I put them on and I'm like I'm going to bed. You know, like these are my bed movies.
Yeah.
I'm a single person, so I fall asleep to movies. But yeah, I'd say like those any of those. Oh man, that's a tough one. The movies are the toughest one. Yeah, I would say like any of those classic '90s movies that I grew up with. Just one of them.
All right, sounds good.
Fuck yeah.
Or actually, I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna pick a movie that I know Lee hates because he's on the island with me.
Awful.
I know he's not a big Paramore fan either, so I'm just like literally just gonna make him hate every second to be on the island with me. So whatever movie that Lee really hates, I don't know. So probably one of the Marvel movies or something that he just doesn't
That's
like.
fair.
So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
I want to plug my band. Yeah, you can check us out on all social medias. At Hollowfront or at Hollowfront Band are the 2 handles that we go by, but much easier, just Google. Let's go to Google and type in Hollowfront and whatever preferred source that you'd like to find us on, and I'm sure that you'll find us. Yeah, and we have our new album coming out. We're taping this. It comes out this Friday. I don't know when this is coming out, so it might already be out. But yeah, go listen to it and let me know if you love it or hate it. But if you hate it, don't tell me. But you can, but don't.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on here again.
Of course. Well, thank you, Sal. It's been Tyler from Hollowfront, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.